Harper is a broken tank hunter who was added in version 2.0 of Solo Leveling Arise alongside a new story mode, new bosses, and a new shadow. But what makes Harper amazing is that she has damage buffs, great debuffs, and most importantly, almighty break damage, which easily makes her the best breaker in the game, which is why today I'll be showing you all how you can best build Harper to make her absolutely broken. And for Harper's best artifact sets, the most obvious one that most people will be going with will be the 8 set effect of the Burning Greed artifact set, as not only can the Burning Greed set on its 8 set effect allow you to increase your break effectiveness by 30% when attacking an enemy with elemental weakness to you, but the most important thing about this 8 set effect bonus is once you've stacked your greed buff 10 times through using skills that deal break damage, you can then apply Burning Greed to your entire party, which will be really good as you can increase your whole team's critical hit rate by 15% and their critical hit damage by another 30% as well. But then also because Harper is a HP scaler, it does mean that the Angel in White set could be really good with her, especially if you're going to run her in Guild Boss, as Angel in White's 2 set effect can increase your HP stat by 8%, which will give you more damage, but then it's the 4 set effect where this set really does shine, as you can increase your healing given by 8%, which Harper doesn't do, so this is kind of pointless. But then it's because you can then actually increase the damage of the team member with the highest total power by 8% is really what makes this set really, really good. And then finally, other sets you can use on her will be things like Noble Sacrifice for its attack buffs and also HP increases, as well as you could also go for Solid Analysis for its amazing amount of break effectiveness increases. And then when it comes to accessories, obviously if you're going to be running the 8 set effect of Burning Greed, then you're going to need to run all of the Burning Greed's accessories. But then aside from that, the only other one I would recommend would be Sylph's Blessing, as pretty much with this set, whenever Harper uses her QTE skill, support skill, or ultimate skill, you can increase your own and your whole team's elemental weakness damage by 5%. And then when you combine this with the 4 set effect, you can then stack up to 3 times and make it last for 60 seconds, which in total will give you a 15% increase in your elemental weakness damage dealt, which will be absolutely amazing and definitely will be really good. But then to truly get the most out of all of her artifacts and accessories, you need to give them the correct main and also substats, which is why when it comes to her main artifact pieces, on her helmet, on her main stat, you'll want to go for HP %, as that will give you the biggest increase in your damage. However, additional HP can be usable as well. And then as you all know, the body armor will always give you additional defense, and then the gloves will also always give you additional attack, which then leaves you with the boots. And with the boots, you could either go for critical hit damage, or you could go for HP %, with critical hit damage in my opinion being the better option, as it will overall give you the bigger damage increase. And then when it comes to her accessory main stats, the necklace will always give you additional HP, and then for her bracelet, you'll always want to go for dark damage %, as she is of the dark attribute. Then for the ring, again, it will be either HP % or additional HP, with HP % overall being the better option. And then finally, of course, the earrings will then give you additional mana points. But then moving on, we have all of the best substats for Harper, and overall the 4 best substats you're going to want to look for are going to be HP %, additional HP, critical hit rate, and then critical hit damage. And just keep in mind, when you're looking for critical hit rate substats, you can only get those on your main artifacts, and then when it comes to critical hit damage substats, you can only get those on your accessories, which will easily make those 4 stats the most desirable ones that you want. However, all of these stats are still perfectly good as well. So now you know all about Harper's best artifacts and accessories and all of her best stats that you want for her. If you want to then take her to the next level and make her even better, it's best that you know which are the best weapons to equip on Harper. And by far her #1 weapon for her will be her own exclusive weapon, and this is called Mischievous, which will basically increase your HP by 4%, which can be increased all the way up to 12%. But then also when you use your ultimate skill, you can then increase your entire team member's dark damage by 4% for 30 seconds, which can then also be increased all the way up to 12% when this weapon is at max dupes. And then a really good free-to-play option would be the durable Shark Water Gun, as this is another HP scaling weapon that can increase your own QTE skill damage as well as your own basic skill damage, all by 2.5% at 0 dupes. But when you get it to max dupes, you can then increase that damage increase all the way up to 10%. But then what's potentially even more important is actually leveling up Harper's correct skills. And in my opinion, I think her second basic skill, which is called the Tenderizer, is her best skill by far. But the best thing about this skill is that it actually deals almighty break damage, which is definitely one of the main reasons why she is so good. But it is also because each time this skill does hit, you can inflict the pork chopped effect to the target. And essentially what this debuff will do, it will increase the ultimate skill damage taken from Dark Hunters by 1%, which will stack up to 12 times and will last for 20 seconds. And then following up on that, we have Hammer Drift, which I think is going to be the second best skill for you to level up for her. And this skill will deal medium break damage, which is pretty good. But what this skill also does is it basically triggers the London Drift buff for her, as essentially whenever she uses Hammer Drift, which is her first basic skill, she can activate the London Drift effect effect, which will basically just give her a free 20% damage increase. But what this skill doesn't mention, and it just doesn't mention in her kit overall, but it does happen when you use this skill, is that when you use Hammer Drift, it actually does then charge your core attack instantly and activates it, so you can use it instantly. And her core attack Hammer Dash will be her third best skill for you to level up, as this, I believe, is the first ever core attack to deal medium break damage, which is insane. But what is so good about this skill is that you can actually paralyze your target, which will be a 3-second stun. And the reason why this stun is so good is because basically you can stun your target and then you can use your second basic skill, the Tenderizer, to get as much of your break damage off as possible. As the way her Tenderizer skill works is that you have to hold down the basic skill button so you can use it for as long as possible and get as many hits in to deal as much break damage as possible. Which then leaves the final best skill for you to level up, which is her ultimate skill, which is Harper's Mjolnir, as this just does a lot of damage, as you can increase the damage from 1603% of her max HP all the way to 2404.5% of her max HP as damage. And just like I mentioned before, you can increase not only her own ultimate skill damage but your whole team's ultimate skill damage as well. Which then finally brings me on to the final section of this video, and that is Harper's best team and also synergies. And then because Harper does increase the amount of ultimate skill damage that your dark characters can deal, it does make characters like Libora as well as also Silvermane Baekuno the two best options to run with her currently. As when it comes to Libora, she can also increase the amount of dark elemental damage that your whole team does, which will overall give you a ton of damage buffs, but she also does apply really good debuffs in the charm debuff. But then as for Silvermane Baekuno, he is definitely by far the best dark DPS in the game currently, as he has a bunch of damage increases through his passive as well as a bunch of damage through the bleed debuffs that he does apply through his regular bleed and also Curse of the Magic Beast. And also with his second basic skill buffing his attack speed a ton, it means you can get a load of basic and also core attacks off, which will be very useful. However, when Charlotte does actually release, she will be the best DPS to run with Harper, as her passive basically allows her to instantly get her ultimate after using her tier 3 basic attack twice, which will essentially allow Charlotte to make use of Harper's ultimate skill damage increase debuff, which will be really useful and will definitely make Charlotte the best DPS to run with her, so just keep that in mind when Charlotte does release. But then also, if you don't have Silvermane Baekuno and you're also going to be skipping Charlotte, then the two other best DPS options you could go for would be Kang Taeshik, as Kang Taeshik does also work around doing a lot of damage through bleeding your enemies, or you could go for Lim Tae-gyu, who is also absolutely amazing, as he has a very spammable core attack, as well as also a ton of break damage in general, so if you're still struggling for break damage against some enemies, then Lim Tae-gyu can support really nicely with that as well. And then when it comes to all of the best shadows you want to use, you can use pretty much anything in the mono dark team, as if you just want to generally increase everyone's damage, then you could go for Igris, as his shadow authority buff will increase all of your team members' critical hit rate, or you could actually then go for the brand new shadow in Big Rock, as Big Rock shadow authority will increase your entire team members' basic skill damage by 8%, which literally everybody can benefit from, which will overall be very good. Which then leaves me with the two best supportive shadows in the game, and if you've seen any of my other build guides, then you would know that Iron as well as also Serbi the Cerberus are the two best supportive shadows in the game, as Serbi can apply the combustion debuff to give permanent damage increases, as well as also Iron can apply a defense decrease as well, and not to mention give a shield to all of your shadows as well. So there you have it, that is a complete build guide to Harper, who is an amazing tank hunter in solo leveling Arise. But overall, if you did enjoy this video or you found it just useful in general, then don't forget to like and subscribe and click the link down below to support me as a creator, as it does help me out so much. And finally, I will see you all in the next video. Peace!